Tennis may look like an individual sport, but behind the scenes there's a team of experts analysing every aspect of the game.
With the help of the team behind Britain's top tennis pros, we're going to take a deep dive into all the strategies, techniques and tactics used at the top of the game to help you improve your game.
It's easy to be distracted by the scenario, the pressure that your opponent's putting you under, the context of the game, the match, the situation. So what's really crucial is clarity of game plan and then committing to the game plan.
So you've got to be thinking around what their strengths and weaknesses are.
I'm going to refocus, I've got my plan, forgotten all the bad stuff, and try and save this one. Welcome back to the National Tennis Centre for another episode of Inspired By. Once again, we're going to be tapping into the wisdom of LTA coach Matt James, and joining us for the first time this week, LTA Head of Psychology, Matt Thompson. Matt, welcome along to the show. Thank you so much for joining us. Can you tell us a bit about what you do?
The job of me and the team of psychologists that we've got here is to help the players to make sure that they are aware of their ideal performance state and how to get into it so they can consistently perform at their best every match.
That sounds extremely helpful for all of our club players watching at home. So we're going to talk a lot about that today. The topic this week is going to be the strategy and skill of defending break points. So Matt, what should you be thinking about when your opponent is dictating on your serve?
Well, it's a really tricky scenario because you're under a huge amount of pressure. You need to be able to think really clearly about what you're trying to do and how you're going to do it. It's easy to be distracted by the scenario, the pressure that your opponent's putting you under, the context of the game, the match, the situation, especially we're at grass court season at the moment, there's some of those extra pressures. So what's really crucial is clarity of game plan and then committing to the game plan.
We've got some examples of what we're talking about right here.
We've got a couple of clips here where Cam's under quite a bit of pressure. He's love forward, he's got some break points to face, and he commits to the big serves. He could be thinking, do I need to do this, do I need to do that? His absolute clarity is on going big out wide, and he executes that really well.
Another interesting one on this break point is how this point plays out, where Kekmanovic has a pass, Cam's in massive trouble, and from this position you'd probably see most people in practice just go lob cross court, even ding cross court, assuming that the player's going to be covering the line. But potentially under the pressure he actually goes line, doesn't quite commit to it. There's a lot more power he could have gone there, which gives Cam the time to actually go and cover it.
What's interesting there is you can see the pressure playing a part. So Matt's explained that the sensible shot, the logical shot, is to go for that lob cross court or the kind of ding cross court as he described it. But what he's doing there is under pressure he's being a little bit tentative. He's playing a little bit safe because he doesn't want to waste the opportunity of the break point. And it's that tentativeness and that safety that means he kind of goes for the guide down the line, which gives Cam the opportunity to go in and finish that point off.
So that's fascinating because here we're talking about the pressure on the server, but actually there's a huge pressure in that moment on the person who's got the break point as well.
Yeah, absolutely, because at this level they're on that many opportunities usually to break serve. So when you do get an opportunity, you really want to take it.
The next example is from Birmingham. We've got Jodie Burrage up against Harriet Dart.
Jodie's under quite a lot of pressure here from Harriet in the first set of their matchup. Under pressure, it's easy to want to play safe and play tentative. But what Jodie does really well here is she gets clear on her game plan, which she decides, and people might decide differently, but she decides to attack the small targets. Her serve is a big weapon, and you see through these clips that she attacks the corners of those service boxes with a total commitment and aggression.
Of course, these players are pros and very, very good tennis players. Is that not a risky decision? Is that not a low percentage play?
Well, for Jodie, it actually links a lot more to a game style than other players because she's overall an aggressive player, an aggressive baseliner. If some people would love 40 and try to increase their serve than they've done all match, they're going to be under a little bit more pressure and probably their percentage will go down.
So what's really crucial there is to know what your strengths are as a player. So Matt's just described Jodie's strengths are that way of playing, so she commits to that under pressure. Often when we're under pressure, that's when we want to feel a need to change things or do something different or a bit risky, but commit to your strengths.
Okay then, here's one from Birmingham featuring Katie Bolter.
So Katie being quite similar game style to Jodie on the serve, they're both looking to be aggressive and get up in the point after. But as we see here, the ball lands a little bit too far away from that centre line at this level that it gives the returner quite a nice strike on it. And when she sends this back with depth on the grass, it's putting Katie in a lot of trouble. Katie will be a little bit disappointed on that because, as we saw with Jodie, at love 40 is probably a good chance to actually send a little bit of a message that I'm going to try and land maybe an ace or at least an unreturnable here.
An important thing on that is that is going to happen sometimes. Like there are going to be times where you don't quite commit to it or don't quite get it right. What's important then is what you do next. So to be able to get to the back of the court, reset, refresh, get clarity again to commit to the next one is also crucial.
We're going to head out on court now. Can you give me some things to think about when I'm facing these break points, Matt?
Yeah, sure. So what's really important is a good between point routine. So what we like to see between points is 3 stages. A release stage where you release what's happened in the previous point, whether you've hit an unbelievable winner or duffed a volley into the net. A plan phase where you start thinking about the next point. Do I need to change anything? What do I want to do in this next point? What's working well for me? What does the opponent not like? And once you've decided exactly where you want to serve or try to return, then you go into your refocus phase. That's when you turn back to the court, get to the service line with total clarity and commitment on where you're going to try and hit that serve or return.
Thanks so much, Matt. Brilliant to have you on. Right, so we've got the other Matt's process. How are we going to get this set up in a drill now?
So the best place to start will be on the ad side. Okay, so most break points occur on the ad side given the scoring system in tennis. So what we'll do, we'll put you straight into that scenario. So let's say you're 30-40 down every point. Okay, let's see how you cope with that pressure of the break point. And then we're going to look at it through Matt's lens using that system and then put you back into that scenario and see if you can bring a different plan or how your focus is and using that system to your positive effect.
All right, nice one. Let's go do it. Ruthless.
So we often see players releasing that emotion. Some of them actually just turn their back away from the court, they'll go to the back,
Yeah.
they've obviously got their towel, they're getting the balls from the ball boy, ball girl, and that's a little bit of time to almost try and forget about the last point. Okay, so another really important thing to do in the time you've got in between points is also to plan what's going to happen. The first break point that you've faced, you've served to the forehand, you've had a pretty big reply that they've hit a winner past you.
Yeah.
Okay, so next time that comes up on the ad side, you might be thinking, actually, I don't want to hit the same serve.
Yeah.
Because the same response might come. It might be a strength of theirs. Okay, so you might start planning, actually, maybe let's try and find the backhand. That might be a weakness. Maybe with a different spin, maybe hit slice down the tee. So you've got to be thinking around not just what your strengths are, what their strengths and weaknesses are. Okay.
I'm going to refocus. I've got my plan, forgotten all the bad stuff that happened before, and try and save this one.
Let's go.
Nice. That was wicked, Matt. I felt as though I really benefited from the idea of refocusing to play that point.
No, it's good. It's a really good example of the planning phase as well, where you actually changed where you serve to based on kind of strengths and weaknesses and using that part of the strategy.
Great stuff. Thank you, Matt. I feel as though I'm going to feel a lot stronger on break points now. Unfortunately, that's all we've got time for in this episode of Inspired By, but don't worry, we'll be back next week for plenty more tips from the pros. And if you want to find any more exclusive content, then check it out on Advantage.